buttercream frosting to decorate Halloween cupcakes tonight. I already made some mini cupcakes earlier this afternoon. I've been doing a ton of baking between chocolate chip cookies and cupcakes. Those are vanilla cupcakes, and I even have little Halloween wrappers on them. So did I do it the right way? There's a little pumpkin. All right. So I'm making homemade buttercream frosting. I love buttercream. I never really got into making fondant because I just don't like it. I prefer buttercream frosting, so that's always what I work with. Right now I have 3/4 of a stick of butter. So I say 24 cupcakes or 12 cupcakes or 24 mini cupcakes. I usually have my icing recipes. Instead of using 3/4 a cup, I use 3/4 of a stick because 2 sticks of butter is 1 cup of butter. So, if I have time, I prefer to let the butter sit out to room temperature so it's a little bit soft, and that's better for mixing. But if you don't have time to do that, just pop it into the microwave for 10 seconds. That's plenty of time to make it a little soft without completely melting the butter. So I'm going to grab the knife right here. I used to trim it, so I'm just going to pour our butter into our dish. I usually use the stainless steel mixing bowl when I'm making icing because it keeps the butter colder, so it's better for doing frostings just to keep with your regular stainless steel bowl. But I'm using my glass mixing bowl right now for 2 reasons. A, so y'all can actually see what's going on in here since y'all aren't here in the kitchen with me. And 2, because I used the other bowl to mix the batter for the cupcakes earlier in between all of the Halloween activities we've been doing tonight, the witch's ride, and our neighborhood potluck. I haven't had a chance to wash it yet. So we're going to go with this one. Okay. And you just want to use your regular mixing paddle for the frosting. You don't need to use the whisk. The regular mixing paddle is fine. And I'm actually going to take this off for a minute so I can pour in the other ingredients easier. I have 4 cups of powdered sugar here. So that's about half of a big bag or 1 small bag of powdered sugar. So about 16 ounces or 4 cups of powdered sugar. I'm just going to pour this in here. You can mix everything in slowly, but I find it easier just to dump and stir when it comes to icing, and it all turns out about the same in the end. I also have, I'm going to put some pure vanilla extract in here, and I usually load mine up with vanilla. So instead of using half a teaspoon, which would be what the recipe usually calls for, I'm going to go with 3 teaspoons. So 1 tablespoon of vanilla. All right, I just love the smell of vanilla. It smells so good. Okay, and I also have a 1/4 cup of milk here, and I'm not going to use the whole thing to start off with. I'm going to leave a little bit, and then I can add more as I need to get the right consistency. So just under a 1/4 cup of milk. Okay, and I'm going to put my attachment back on, and then I'm going to lock my mixer, and I'm also going to put the guard on the top because powdered sugar just can get everywhere in your kitchen, and powdered sugar and flour are 2 of the messiest things I work with. I really should be wearing my apron right now. And I'm also going to kind of try to block it a little bit with my hand as well to keep things from flying out. And now I'm going to start this on low and try to get the powdered sugar all wet with the milk and get that nice and mixed in. Since I'm starting it off on low, it's less likely that I'm going to get powdered sugar all over my face and my clothes. That's mixing in there nicely. And I'm going to turn the mixer up a little bit. All right, I'm going to take the guard off now because everything's getting nice and mixed in. The lumps are slowly coming out. So some of the frosting did just fly out. See, I told y'all. And let that go for a minute or so. That's looking pretty good. So I'm going to scrape down my sides and kind of test it out. And really get around the bottom here too. Make sure all the butter's going to get mixed in. I think it's a little bit thick, so I'm going to add the rest of the milk in there as well after I scrape the sides down. All right, I'm just going to scrape the spatula on the mixing paddle here. That helps get all of the icing off really easily. Okay, mix it a little bit more. And I'm just going to add the rest of our milk. So that's a full 1/4 cup of milk. It can be hard to measure powdered sugar precisely because it's so light and fluffy. So I always kind of like to reserve a little of the milk just in case I have less powdered sugar than other times. All right, I think that is looking pretty good. Yeah, it's not quite so thick as before. That's coming down the sides nicely. It's going to be a lot easier to pipe. Perfect, but not too runny either. Okay. And we are actually going to do orange icing for our cupcakes. I'm actually going to pull out just a little bit of this to reserve because after I pipe the cupcakes orange, I might decide to make them little pumpkins or jack-o'-lanterns and do a little bit of black icing. So I'm going to reserve a little bit of that. All right. And, okay, so here's my food coloring. To do orange, I'm going to do a little bit of red and a little bit of yellow. So I'm just going to squeeze a little bit of the yellow in there. A little usually goes a long way on icing. This is a gel icing, so it's good at not making whatever you're mixing too thin. And I can always add more if I don't like how the color turns out at first, if I want it to be richer. It's definitely orange, but that kind of looks more like a pale orange to me. So let's go with a little bit richer color. Let's add a good bit more red. And a little bit more yellow. Well, actually, let's start with the red, see how that looks, and then we'll move to yellow. Looking more red, so we definitely want more of an orange color, so we'll definitely need to add some more yellow too. That might be getting there. I think that's a pretty good orange color. I'm going to scrape this down. And sometimes the icing at the bottom doesn't get all mixed in with the color. So scraping it down and really mixing in at the bottom with your spatula to get a uniform color is a good idea. Off from it, make it easier to stir. Yeah, there was a lot at the bottom that hadn't really gotten mixed in, so this is good. I'm going to get some that's off our spatula here, or mixing paddle. You don't want any to go to waste. Okay, and I'm just going to stick that here in our powdered sugar bowl. That'll get it out of the way. Oh! More cupcakes are done! I had just a little bit of extra batter, so I made a few more cupcakes. And just stuck those in there for 12 minutes on 350. That works pretty well for mini cupcakes. I usually bake my full-size cupcakes for for longer. Oh, this smells so good. I just love the smell of baking. Okay, I think that's looking pretty good. So we're going to just go with that orange. Okay, and I already went ahead and set up my piping bags. I like to use disposable piping bags because piping icing can just be a mess, and it is such a pain to wash the reusable ones. I know my husband has firsthand experience with that as well. He's nodding his head. It's so much easier just to, to use the disposable bags, and then if you want to save any from it later to use another time, or as a backup, you can always just kind of squeeze some out, put it in a Tupperware container, put it in the fridge, and then the bag you can just throw away. So I really like using the big star tip. That's one of my favorites for piping cupcakes. I do have a smaller one that I like to use for mini cupcakes sometimes too. Since this one is so big, it usually just fits right in the piping bag. But the smaller one with just the writing tip, you can see I have a little, I guess, gadget where I've basically screwed it in at the bottom. That helps hold it in place. All right, so I'm just going to hold it open and pour our icing in. And I usually kind of try to just scrape it along the sides to get the icing off the spatula. So one of my friends has a baby in the NICU right now. She's been in the NICU almost 3 months, but she thought it would be so sweet to make some Halloween cupcakes for the NICU nurses. The NICU nurses are just angels, all of them, for giving so much of their attention and their hearts to the little babies. But I thought that was a fantastic idea, and she asked me to help her out with making them. All right. That's most of it. I just have a little bit left, and if we need more later, I can always put more in our piping bag. I'm just going to squeeze it down towards the bottom and twist the top off, and I'm just going to squeeze down until some comes out so I know it's all set to go. I'm going to bring, just going to set this to the side. Okay. All right, so I'm actually going to start in the middle for these and then pipe around in a circle. Sometimes I'll start on the outside and go in, but today I'm going to start in the middle and go out because that makes a flatter shape. So if I want to give the pumpkins faces later, it'll be easier to give the pumpkins faces. So just try to hold the piping bag steady and just move it with your wrist. And apply even pressure on the piping bag when you're swirling it around. So I'm just holding it steady, moving it in a circular motion. Whoops, that one almost toppled. We saved it. These are perfect bite-sized little trees. These are a great size for doing a kid's birthday party too. Between making cookies for our potluck after the witches ride tonight and then making cookies for a couple other neighbors as well, I've been baking those in the cupcakes all afternoon. Alright, today was definitely a baking day. Alright, so all set on those. So those are looking just adorable, mini cupcakes. I'm going to set that to the side for now. And then I have some black icing, black food coloring. There's black. But sometimes when you add black icing or black food coloring to icing, it looks kind of gray. Sometimes it's hard to get that black color. So I'm going to grab some cocoa powder. color, just regular old cocoa. And I'm going to put a little bit in here. I don't need much because it's kind of icing. And I'm going to mix that in first to make it kind of a chocolate icing. And that'll help give a much richer black color. And plus you get a little bit of a chocolate frosting, which is a nice contrast to the vanilla. Just mix that in real well. All right, that looks like it's pretty good. So I'm going to open our black frosting, and I grabbed a toothpick because sometimes these don't pour out very well, and we really don't need a ton of frosting. So I'm just going to get a little bit of the black out. It's been a while since I used the black. There's not a ton left in there. Also, I would recommend being careful not to get this on your clothes, and it can stain your hands too, so. Well, we're almost out of this. It might be time for me to get some more black frosting, y'all. Or black food coloring. Start with that, but I'm probably going to need a little bit more. There we go. A little does tend to go a long way. Pretty close. You might need just a little bit more. It's kind of a dark gray right now. I'm going to grab our knife since there's some just right at the bottom. This will be easier to get out. All right. That's turning out pretty well, yeah. There we go. Okay, that's a better black. I'm mixing this after doing basically 3 batches of cookies. It's making my arms a little tired. I was kind of glad of the chance to use the mixer. Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to close up our black icing. And I'm going to come over here and put some of this in our piping bag. Need much at all of this. So again, we're just going to work our icing down towards the bottom. It's just taking a minute because there's not as much in here. All right, just kind of push down. And it's coming out the ends. Now we're just going to give our pumpkin some bases. I'm going to do a little eye, some triangles there, little nose, little nose because these are little pumpkins. There we go. And we'll give him a Jack Skellington mouth. And there's our little pumpkin jack-o'-lantern. So I'll probably come up with a few different faces to do for these pumpkins, but that's the general idea. Hope you enjoyed the decorating tips. Have a happy Halloween this week.